What's up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. It's Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. This is going to be our video reaction podcast of everything Eagles, reactions, predictions, all throughout the week. We're going to be doing a bunch of these throughout Eagles season. If you guys like what you see, make sure you hit like and subscribe below. On today's show, we're going to do a little introductions with our co-hosts. We're also going to be doing some rapid-fire questions of the Eagles season, last season, all of it. Thanks for watching, guys. Go Birds, baby. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. I'm going to first introduce our guest today. Our first guest, he goes by Victor. You guys mostly know him from the Philly Special Podcast. You can find him or find that handle on Twitter at the Philly Pod. What is up, Victor?
Hey, man, what's going on? They should know me by now, and if not, then it's a problem. But but I'm glad to be here. Catch all my stuff at the Philly Pod and all over the TPL platform.
What do you got going on right now, man?
I just had an interview with Scoopy Robinson the other day. He gave us some good stuff about Elton Brand, and he gave us a funny story about Elton Brand and Markel Fultz and how he got discovered through that avenue. So if you want to hear that story, check that last episode out.
Awesome. Yeah, if you are in love with great Sixers content, great Eagles content, make sure you check it out. If you're following this I almost called it Blue Root. Holy shit.
Man, so used to it.
Following the Party on Broad, you probably already follow it. So awesome. So what up, Shane? You can follow Shane on Twitter at Gus Chiggins. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Happy to be a part of the party here.
Yeah. So this is Party on Broad. This is going to be our kind of analysis, reaction, prediction with everything around the Eagles. If you guys love Eagles content, make sure you check out Eagles TPL on Twitter. Ready to get started, guys?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's go. All right. So first things first, kind of the news of the day yesterday was Darren Sproles. He signed a 1-year deal with the Eagles. What does it mean for the roster? Victor, what's kind of your takeaway with the Darren Sproles signing?
All right. So for Darren Sproles, my initial reaction was, hell yeah, he's coming back, and he's going to be very useful in a limited role. Him paired up with Sanders, Jordan Howard, as well as Corey Clement, who we all assume will be the third back, unless Wendell Smallwood wows us in training camp. Him getting his 5 to 7 touches a game should be very effective. But then as I dive into it, I'm starting to think, like, do we really need a 36-year-old fragile 5'9" back in here in an already crowded, Eagles running back room we have Boston Scott and Donald Pumphrey and all those guys running around. So I'm trying to think of how wise is it to bring back Darren Sproles, or is it just for sentimental value? My initial reaction is great. I just don't know how effective it'll be in the season.
Absolute nail. Go ahead, Shay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with everything he just said. The sentimental side of it. I love Darren Sproles, man. Like watching him the past 7 years. Guy is electric. You know what I mean? Love watching him. But like he said, the soul spot is like those 5 to 7 touches. I love Darren Sproles, but I don't need him getting more than 5 or 7 touches a game. Helping out in special teams, punt return, kick return. I think he really, in past years, I feel like we kind of relied on Darren Sproles to maybe a little too much, I thought. So I'm hoping now with a limited role, he can kind of, just be that change of pace back, get Jordan Howard and those other guys some breathers. It'll more than likely be a committee anyway. So I'm hoping the small dosage of him will be effective when we see him.
Absolutely nailed it. I think we're all on the same page here. Clubhouse leader, maybe some punt returns. But yeah, no, I need Corey Clement to be that third running back. Definitely loved what I see from him. Got to stay healthy. But let's move on. Real quick.
I just one question. Oh man, what was I gonna say? So between the punt returning role, that's the only question this really arises. Like, who is it going to be, Sproles, or is it going to be Deshaun Jackson now? For you two, who would you rather have returning kicks or punts rather?
Interesting question. Go ahead, Shane.
So for me, let's say in a playoff game, I want Deshaun Jackson back there. Now during the regular season, I kind of want to protect Deshaun. I don't want him being exposed to any big hits that he doesn't have to take. So I'm in favor of, splitting it between a couple guys. But then, come playoff time, I hope that, Jackson can be the guy back there.
Yeah, let it be Sprolesy. Let him have that exclusive role. What about you, Victor?
I think I would. They're both kind of fragile. So from a fragile standpoint, I'm not sure who would be better off returning kicks. I think I would go with Deshaun Jackson just because he's more. I can't even say electric because Darren Sproles does it too. I think I would just go with Deshaun Jackson just because he's younger and he still has the speed that we're not sure that Darren Sproles has coming off that injury. But anything, Darren Sproles being in that role is better than pretending that he's the bell cow back for 4 weeks, like we saw in the past. So.
For sure.
Yeah, man. And Deshaun's just so made of glass, man. So we need him. The Eagles need him, not even to catch balls, just to be a threat. On the outside.
Just to be there, just to be there.
Yeah, dude, he does way more than for the team than just catch balls, man. He is, takes the top off the defense.
Yep.
He, provides all the spacing that Zach Ertz is going to need this year, expecting a huge thing from him and Goddard. But ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm good now. Let's go.
All right, let's go into just a little quick introduction about, why you love the Birds. Why do you bleed green? Victor, is there anything you want to talk about there?
So I wasn't allowed any other option when I was growing up. So it was either bleed green or get a new address. So obviously, bleed green was the choice. And growing up on Donovan McNabb and the legacy he had and the lack of receivers he had with James Thrash, and we all remember the play where Todd Pinkston literally ducked from the ball. So it's just a matter of it comes down to McNabb's legacy for me. I think he's a lot better than people let on. I think that people like to give him crap now because we have Wentz and he never brought us that ring. But I truly believe that Donovan McNabb did all he could with the weapons that he had. He had, Owens for that year and a half, and you saw what we were capable of. And he had Kevin Curtis and Reggie Brown and those mediocre guys. But the Eagles, just for me, is all about it's just I saw a lot of unity, and basketball was always my first love as a sport. But then once the Eagles came around, I said, man, it's like 1A and 1B, which is why I love both teams so much. But McNabb is a big reason for why I have such magnitude of Eagles fandom now.
Awesome. Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, I mean, just growing up, right, for me, the Eagles were the most consistently good team. And it was also the one, as I wasn't as into sports as I am now, didn't watch it as consistently. I was younger doing other things growing up, but every Sunday, you know what I mean? I watched every Eagles game once a week. It's easy to do. It's easy to get into. So just have very fond memories of being young and watching the Eagles, rocking those Brian Westbrook jerseys, going through it, small, medium, large, as I got older. And bigger.
I'm still on small. I'm still stuck on small.
So, and that team is, iconic and legendary to me. Dawkins, Westbrook, Lito Shepherd, all those guys, man. McNabb, like you said, who I think, McNabb isn't appreciated in this town as much as he should be. But those guys are legends to me forever.
Bobby Taylor, Troy Vincent, those guys.
Yeah,
bringing it back, man. Bringing it back.
Gang, man. The whole gang. Trotter, Jeremiah Trotter was my guy.
The X.
Yeah, I love Trotter. If that doesn't make you, a super fan for life, I don't know what will.
Andy Kalu. I'm thinking all the names now.
I think for me, my fondest childhood memories was Sundays. All my family's at the house, my extended family, everyone's screaming at the TV. I'm an only child, so I have great relationships with my mom and dad. But that was really the all the times of my best memories where the whole family's here and we're watching the Eagles. We're all eagled up, and I think what the Eagles do so well is that it's a family thing. It's you could go in Philadelphia and walk the street and say "Go Birds" and start a conversation about the Eagles with anybody.
Yeah, Wawa somewhere.
Yeah, dude.
Anyway, man.
There's a family element to the Eagles that I just absolutely love. That makes me bleed green. But let's talk about some favorite Eagles moments. Shane, lead us off, dude.
Favorite Eagles moments. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind, I already mentioned, the McNabb, Westbrook, Dawkins era. But after that, I had so much fun watching Michael Vick throw the ball deep to Deshaun Jackson. I mean, those teams were electric. The Vick the year Vick should have won MVP and he didn't. Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin. That was just a very, they didn't pull it off. In the end, it was only a 2 or 3 year span where they were really together and good. But I had a lot of fun during that time, man. I thought that was a good a great, very tiny era of Eagles football that I just thought was electric.
What about you, Victor?
Yeah, the bomb squad back then was definitely a good time with LaShawn McCoy and D-Jack and Vic, the fastest offense around, definitely the most explosive. A fun fact about that, I just saw a stat today that Macklin and Deshaun Jackson combined only dropped one pass in 2015. So,
Damn!
Wow, that's incredible.
As good as our receivers were back then, nobody ever knew. So the two moments for me that shine brightly for me is I remember Chad Lewis catching that touchdown in the NFC Championship game in 2004 that sealed the 27-10 win. It's a shame he didn't get to play after that. He kind of sacrificed himself to finally get us in the Super Bowl. But I just remember him, sitting down and he was celebrating. And then the 44-6 smacking of the Cowboys. When we had to, who was it? I think the Raiders had to beat the Buccaneers at the time, and the Raiders were like terrible, and the Raiders put off a win. And I think the Texans had to win their game.
Or something other outcomes to happen.
Yeah, something crazy like the Texans had to win back when they were trash, and all the odds were against us. And we went into the game with the with only having to win that game. And I remember just going into halftime, and we were like, we're really going to do this, and we just slapped them up. So those two moments for me are high on the pedestal of Eagles memory.
I got a couple. The preseason game of McNabb to Terrell Owens, the first play, that was a bomb. It was like a 60-yard pass. And then I absolutely always go back to the time that Brian Dawkins just destroyed Algie Crumpler.
Laid the sack on him.
In the NFC Championship game against the Falcons. That Brian Dawkins was already a legend then, but that just cemented it. Like, that was just, especially when they won, and then you just saw Brian Dawkins just so emotional, as he always is, giving the defense props and the Super Bowl, and that was just a heroic moment for me. How about least favorite moments? Go ahead, Victor.
So I think it was when we lost back-to-back Cowboys games, the last game of the season, and then come back in the wildcard game, and like Marion Barber, or was it Felix Jones, whoever was the running back at the time, was just having their way with us. So it's the fact that we had to get smacked by the Cowboys, not 1 week, but then the following week, and actually get kicked out of the playoffs. For me, that was a super low point. And OCU Manura sacking McNabb, was it McNabb 8 times, 6 times, whatever it was, that nightmare of the Sunday night game. Yeah, Manura slapped us around that night. So those are two moments for me. I was embarrassed.
Who was that tackle? I'm drawing a complete blank. That left tackle.
They got
killed.
Got killed. I don't remember his name. He's not around today. That tells you.
No, he was a high second round pick, projected first. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank.
It'll come to us when we log off.
Yeah.
All
right, go ahead, Shane.
My probably least favorite moment. I was convinced that in the post McNabb era, that Kevin Cobb was the truth.
You were alone on that one, because I damn sure didn't.
I thought Kevin Cobb was the truth, man. I thought he was the next franchise quarterback. And it was like the first regular season game, it was just so apparent, like, this guy is not good, to put it kindly. And
what did he do to lead you to believe that he was going to be good, though?
Like, there was really nothing,
Right, exactly.
There was no evidence that made me think it. I think I wasn't ready to face the music that we were going to go into an era without a quarterback. And I was like, nah, Kevin Cobb can do it. He's good enough.
Got cracked that concussion first week.
First week done. So the good thing is that it ended quickly. It wasn't like a drawn out, like, long, stab in the gut. It was like a Band-Aid. I was like, oh, I was wrong. This guy's bad.
Didn't he light us up one game when he was with the Cardinals? He killed us. Of course.
Probably did. Honestly, that's what typically happens in Philly sports. The guy leaves. They have their comeback game where they kill us.
Yeah, great.
That's a good one. My least favorite moment, it's pretty recent too, is
Sam Bradford. Just kidding.
My least favorite moment was when Carson Wentz went down for the first time. When he
don't bring this up, man.
2017, and my heart just got ripped out of its chest. And I was like, there was probably about a 2-week span where I just went in a cave, turned off all the lights, put on NSYNC, lit all the candles, and I was just dead. I was dead. Like, I wanted nothing to do with football. I was just emotionally gone.
We all tried to convince ourselves that he could play on a torn ACL. I was like, he's not even fully torn. He can play in the playoffs with a brace on. Like, that was my mindset. Those were some dark times, man. And I mean, look what happened. But Oakland game was awful the week after. It was all going down, man.
Yeah, dude.
That Oakland game, that was like to your point about going in the dark room and playing sad music. That's like when you put on, Secondhand Serenade, the saddest music you could think of, and just sit down in a ball and cry.
Yeah,
that's how I was. Thank God. But like you said, man, look what happened after that.
Yeah, man. Ready to get in some rapid fire questions?
Rapid.
All right. Victor, who is your favorite player on the Eagles not named Carson Wentz?
Right now?
Right now.
Malcolm Jenkins, bam.
Nice. How about you, Shane?
I was going to say Malcolm Jenkins as well.
All right. I'll go Avonte Maddox.
Oh, that was right.
That's a good one.
I am just a huge fan. Obviously, I'm a Robert Covington fan. I love versatile defenders. That's my boy, Avonte.
I keep telling you, Jalen Mills is the Avonte, is the Robert Covington. It's not Avonte Maddox.
Yeah, I like Mills too, though. Mills catches a lot of flack. I'm ready for Mills to shut the haters up this year.
He ain't even starting next season. Hot take.
I mean, you look at. Do we even know what Mills is?
Mills will be a safety. He'll be a safety.
In the red zone, he'll be fine. Put him on the field in the red zone.
He's okay. Mills is so like.
Mills will be a safety. Great tackling, poor speed, poor recovery speed. So he'll be a safety. Prime for that role.
He's not fast. Like he's gonna get burnt. Anyway,
but on every double move you ever seen.
All right, who will have more touchdowns this year, Jordan Howard or Miles Sanders? Go ahead, Shane.
I say Howard.
Okay,
he'll get the goal line carries.
Victor.
Yeah, same. He'll get the goal line carries. Miles Sanders will be getting a lot of touches out of the backfield. I don't think they'll be doing that unless Doug decides to be gambling on the 2-yard line and throwing sweet passes. But I think Jordan Howard gets all the goal line touches. LeGarrette Blunt role, if you will.
Right. Love it. I agree. Jordan Howard. But I think it's going to be closer than people think. All right. I do. All right. Whatever.
I like the prediction.
Let's get into the strongest position on the Eagles. Go, Victor.
Wide receiver, without a doubt. So right now we have Alshon Jeffrey, Aguilar, Deshaun Jackson, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I put a thread out earlier, if you haven't seen it, of J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and even got Matt Collins, who should be primed for that role if one of them get hurt. Shelton Gibson should be out the door. I'm surprised he's still around, but I think wide receiver is the strongest position on this team for right now.
I cannot wait for J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
Boy, him and Alshon in the red zone, I don't even want to think about it.
My God. Those highlights of Whiteside.
And Goddard and Ertz, geez.
Climbing people in the red zone and grabbing the ball in the air, like.
You're going to have to double cover somebody, and you're going to leave Goddard open or Alshon open, or one of them is going to be open.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's probably the strongest position. Just to spice it up a little bit, I'll say I think, I don't think it's likely, but I think there's definitely a chance at least that the secondary could surprise us and, if they stay healthy, be a strength this year compared to last.
It's amazing how, different, 1 year makes. Last year,
for sure.
I mean, last year, the whole secondary was just decimated by injuries. And then with Avonte Maddox stepping up, we found him in the rough with Cre'Von LeBlanc.
Cre'Von. That's the silver lining. You find a couple guys that, ultimately, hopefully, can end up, being good ball players for the club.
If 3 of the 6 guys are good cornerbacks, we'll be okay. We don't need Rizzo Douglas to be all if 3 out of the 6 we have on this roster can be serviceable, then we'll be fine.
Right.
My strongest position on the Eagles, I think, is defensive tackle.
Yeah, that was the second one. Oh.
I think you got Fletcher Cox, Malik Jackson, Tim Jernigan. I really liked what I saw from Trayvon Hester last year. I think that squad, if everyone stays healthy there, that rotation is going to be dominant.
How do you feel about the ends?
We'll get into that in a little bit. Let's do that. Let me do the questions, man. All right. Other than the quarterback staying healthy, what is the most important position on the Birds this year?
So, I think the most important position on, in terms of I think they're a question mark right now. And I think, some questions are going to have to be answered. I think the linebacker position is the most interesting just because, I'm not really confident in that position right now. I'm hoping that a couple guys can maybe, earn a role, earn some playing time. And hopefully by the time the season starts, it's a little bit stronger than it looks on paper at the moment.
All right, Victor, I'm giving this is a layup.
Oh, I'm allowed to now. So what was the question? Hold on.
What is the most other than quarterback? What is the most important position on the Birds this year?
Well, if Lane Johnson goes down, we're in trouble. I think offensive line. I like where the left tackle is as far as Peters. We have Dillard there ready for the wings. I think we all seen what happened when Lane Johnson went down for that suspension, and then Kerrigan came in here and had his way. So I think all 5 starters need to be healthy for the offensive linemen. If any one of them go down, that's not Jason Peters. I think Carson Wentz is going to have to start watching his surroundings.
Yeah, totally agree. Offensive line, it's a given. We need that to be healthy this year to protect Wentz.
I like our starters.
Essential.
I don't like our depth too much.
For sure. The depth, it gets a little bit scary.
Harry, Vitae. Yeah.
I can't believe no one said defensive end. Like that
was you, man. I gave it to you.
I was waiting. All right, so it's for me defensive end. You got Derek Barnett, who showed in flashes. He's a playmaker, can't stay healthy. You got Chris Long, Michael Bennett. People forget how impactful Michael Bennett was on the defensive.
I was upset.
He was amazing. So then you're relying on guys like Vinny Curry, Sharif Miller, Josh Sweat, all these guys that are you're hoping to step up. Dude, if Derek Barnett gets hurt again, you got Brandon Graham. They're in trouble. They're in big trouble. So I
do think Barnett will have a big year, though.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, I can't. We need him. This is I think that's one of the most important players on the Eagles this season.
Can I say honorable mention for thin positions? I think safety is in trouble if Malcolm or McLeod goes down. I think Sendejo will be okay, but on a full-time role, I'm worried. Trey Sullivan, is he even still here? Trey Sullivan?
Good question.
I don't know, but I think once Jenkins and McLeod, if any of them have to step down for whatever reason, I think safety might be. Hopefully, our corners don't let it get that far, but I think we're going to need help over the top if either of them have to take time away.
All right. A little trivia question for you guys. Ready? All right. Malcolm Jenkins played 100% of the snaps last year. On defense, who played the second most snaps? Shane.
Who played the second most snaps on defense last year? Couldn't have been anybody in the secondary.
Not secondary.
Let me go ahead. I'm going to say Fletcher Cox.
Okay. How about you, Victor?
I'm going to say Nigel Bradham. I feel like he was there all the time.
It is Nigel Bradham.
Yeah,
good guess,
let's
Victor.
Go. I knew he was there all the time. I'll be at the gun charges.
He was playing with the club on his hand.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Nothing was stopping him.
Yeah, he played 88% of the snaps last year. The third most was Fletcher Cox at 80%.
All right, you weren't.
And Brandon Graham was at 72%. So there it is. Gil Brandt recently said that Sidney Jones is primed for a huge year. The Eagles finally have some depth at secondary. Are you in or out on Sidney Jones? Go ahead, Victor.
Oh, I'm in 100%. I hope he's starting in the slot. If it's Cre'Von, I won't be upset, but I think Sidney Jones is ready for his prime role. We saw glimpses last season. I think the reason for his struggles is just due to inconsistency. Once he learns the playbook, he's in there full time. We'll see the college kid that we saw before.
Awesome. How about you, Shane?
So Sidney Jones last year, I thought it looked like a lot of times when we seen him, he was playing banged up. He was playing, with some sort of, something bothering him. One thing that worries me about Sidney Jones is I haven't seen the ball hawk ability that he showed at Washington. I'm still waiting for him to show that potential. I'm 1 foot in, I'm 1 foot out on Sidney Jones. I'm hoping to be pleasantly surprised though.
I'm both feet in, whole body in.
Okay, Victor, if you want to persuade me, I will sit down with you.
We'll work on it. We got a while to work on it.
All right.
I'm more out than in on Sidney Jones. Yeah, man. This is a season where he has a very short leash, I think, and if he shows up and you're thinking too much, dude, he's out. And you got Cre'Von LeBlanc ready to step in, make an impact. I don't think you can mess around with Sidney Jones this year. This team is ready to win now. And that's any reaction to that, Victor?
I have a feeling you were going to stay on Cre'Von, so I'm not surprised. I think he proved his worth on that interception in the Saints game, and we were all like, Cre'Von LeBlanc can stay for a round. And me and my co-host of my podcast are very high on Cre'Von LeBlanc, but I like the potential of Sidney Jones even more, just because, like Shane probably mentioned, I know those ball hawk skills are there. I think they're just dormant at the moment due to inconsistency. Hopefully, if he sees full-time snaps, he'll fit back into his role.
Hopefully, yeah, I that would be huge. I would love to see Sidney Jones have a breakout year this year.
Mm-hmm.
That interception on Drew Brees on the first play of the game in that playoff
score
game.
we were repeating at that moment.
Hands down, my favorite Eagles moment of last year was the interception by Cre'Von LeBlanc. I really hope LeBlanc makes the team, man. You can do it, dude.
between that play and the Jordan Matthews touchdown in the Saints game, I swore we were repeating. I was like, this is it, man. The Magic's coming again.
The J-Mac touchdown was outrageous, dude.
I said, yo, it's happening. We're doing it. We're doing it.
At the top.
We didn't score for like 3 quarters.
Yeah, the first quarter, it looked over.
Who did he miss? Who did Foles miss obnoxiously? Like, it went downhill from there. I think it was Ertz, somebody who was open on a swing route, and it was just ugly overthrow, and then it just it went downhill from
there.
Yeah. All right. Madden NFL 20 releases in a few weeks.
Oh.
I thought it would be fun to kind of play around with the Madden player ratings. Ready, guys?
Okay.
All right. Can you name all 5 members of the Eagles that have a rating of 90 or higher? Shane, go ahead.
All right, I'll start. Malcolm Jenkins.
It's one.
Fletcher Cox. Brandon Graham. Lane Johnson. And 5th. Who the hell is the 5th guy? Victor, can I phone a friend?
It's got to be Brandon Brooks. Is it Brandon Brooks?
Brandon Brooks is one of them.
So I think the other 4, who did I get right?
All right, you got Cox, you got Jenkins, and you got Brooks. You're missing 2.
We're missing 2.
Zach Ertz.
That's
Zach Ertz. How did I forget Zach Ertz?
He's the second highest rated Eagle in Madden.
Wait.
Overall.
Is it offense or defense?
It is offense, and he made a great speech at the parade.
Oh, Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
He's a 90, really? They have him that high?
94.
Wow.
I feel like Madden always lowballs players, I feel like. And then sometimes they just outrageously over.
Kelsey should not be a 94. He need to give some of his points to Wentz, man.
Yeah, let's donate a couple points to Wentz. I agree. 82 is not cutting it.
82, got it. That's closer to 78 than it is to 90. It's ugly.
All right. How about this? Between Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz, who has a higher Madden player rating? Carson Wentz or Dak Prescott? Go ahead, Victor.
Yeah, it's got to be Dak. What's he, like, 84, 83? He's something like that. Yeah.
I know, so I'm going to sit out.
It's actually Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz has an 82 and Dak
Prescott
has 81.
Well, Dak is trash, so that don't surprise me.
81 for Dak, I think, is accurate, right? I think that's
accurate. Yeah, but to say that Wentz and Dak are on the same plateau is obnoxious.
Yeah, you agree. That's where the line is crossed.
Carson Wentz could win like 2 or 3 Super Bowls, and there would still be Dallas Cowboys fans out there saying, "Well, Dak is still better than Carson."
Better. Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous debate I've ever seen.
He comes out so much; it's baffling.
All right. Last Madden question. After Ronald Darby, who is the second highest rated Madden player at cornerback? Victor, go ahead.
I will say Jalen Mills, just based on consistency.
May I ask what Darby is rated before I answer?
Ooh, he must
be.
He was the origin. We're in a spelling bee now.
I did not write that down.
All right, get back to me on that. But I'll guess. He said Mills. I think it's probably Mills. I'll spice it up. I'll go. I'll say, is it Sidney Jones?
It's my boy.
Maddox. It's Maddox.
It's Maddox.
Yeah. All right. I'm not even mad. I got that wrong.
We're going to show Maddox any love.
Yeah. Avonte Maddox is a 78.
Okay.
He's the second rated at a 78. Oh, our secondary is not as good as I thought.
You got to wait for a roster update.
Oh, my God. All of our cornerbacks are 78, 79.
Yeah, I'm not starting a franchise until the roster update hits.
Oh, my God. These online franchises are about to be ugly. It's about to get scorched every single play on a slant route.
All right. Last question, guys. How many wins for the Eagles this year? It's way too early, but who cares? We're going to be doing this probably 18 more times before this.
Tomorrow.
Go ahead, Victor.
13 wins is my prediction.
All right. How about you, Shane?
11.
What? Put more stock into it, man.
Yeah, listen, man. I think 11, and I think we're going to be the.
Nah, man. First
in one game, dude. In a one-game playoff, the Eagles against any team in the NFC, I'll take it. I don't know if we'll have the best regular season record. That's why I say 11, but I still think we're going to be the best team.
The Saints are going to be the only ones even competing for that first round, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm right around 12. On paper, they look awesome, man.
The reason I say 11 is because the Eagles are guaranteed to lose like 2 to 3 games a year that they should definitely win.
Redskin game.
I don't know what the exact science is behind it, but it seems about as real as anything that I can see or touch, that they just are guaranteed to lose a couple games to teams that they shouldn't lose to. Like Tampa in the hot weather,
one game a year,
like some shit like that. So that's why I'm being a little cautious.
Awesome. Awesome. So we're gonna wrap it up here. Any last comments, guys?
I got two. One, who is the starting cornerback for the Redskins? Because I got no ideas. Is it Haskins or is it like Case Keenum or is Alex Smith coming back from that injury? Who knows? And number two, the only threat to the Eagles cornerbacks is going to be the Giants because they got 3 receivers there that all run slants, and that's the Eagles.
Yeah.
So you got who is it? Sterling Shepard. And they're gonna be running into each other head on in the middle of the field because none of them got an outside presence. So. That's my final words.
All right. Well, I'm happy to be on the Party on Broad. I look forward to coming back on and talking Eagles with you fellas. During the season. I think it's going to be a good year, both for the Birds, both for the Painted Lines and our content. I'm excited. I'm jazzed up for it.
So is this straight Eagles or is this like Eagles and Sixers or what is this like?
We haven't really decided yet, man.
All right. Just making sure before I come out here screaming about Ben Simmons every day.
I mean, we could talk about Ben Simmons.
I stand Ben. I'm the only one in the dang TPL. We'll get into
it. Yeah, man.
He's shooting next season.
This is kind of the official video pod of the Painted Lines. It's mostly going to be a lot of Eagles content because the Eagles season starts this week.
Film all that.
So make sure you follow everything player development at Blue Root TPL. If you love Eagles content, make sure you follow everything on Eagles TPL. Hey, Shane, do you want to plug anything regarding Culture TPL?
Well, yeah, the Culture site is doing a lot of good stuff here. Diebler's on Suit Up, covering all of your superhero movie needs, and even a little bit broader than that. At A Pod Has No Name, we're doing a lot of that. Talking a lot of that fantasy content, Game of Thrones. We're currently on his Dark Materials, and then it's fluid. Whatever's in the times, whatever's popular in the fantasy spectrum, we'll be talking about there. Be sure to check us out at A Pod Has No Name. And on the sports side of things, we got a lot of podcasts at the Painted Lines. Dan Morgan's Process Potables, Victor's podcast, the Philly Special.
Pass me the baton. Pass me the baton.
Yeah, there you go, man. Be sure to check that out for your Sixers and Eagles content as well. But if whatever your interests are, we have a podcast for it.
So WWE's coming to Chris's demise. WWE all straight Philly pod all over the.
Yeah, if you guys do a pod on like 90s WWF about like Undertaker, that's my thing right there.
AJ Styles or
die. Make sure you follow the Philly Special Podcast on Twitter at the Philly Pod. Victor, anything last comments?
Philly Special Podcast. You can find us on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Anchor, iHeartRadio, Twitter at the Philly Pod, Instagram also at the Philly Pod, Facebook.com/Philly Special Podcast. And of course, with my fellow contributors over here at the Painted Lines. They're not spray painted, they're real painted.
Nice.
That was mind blowing. It sounds like you've done that before.
A few times.
All right. I'm Chris, Mr. Crockball on Twitter. Thanks for watching. Go Birds, baby.
Go Birds. Word up.